Brilliant.
Recording in progress.
Okay. And so, as a sergeant at arms, I would be introducing you to the three rules we diligently follow in our district and in most other Toastmasters meeting. Rule number one, kindly switch off your mobile or put it in airplane mode or keep it on mute. I will give you the seconds I take to do the same. Okay, and then rule number two is that when a speaker is speaking on the dais, please avoid unnecessary movement. And when a person is speaking, please do not enter or exit the room. Do so when people are applauding. And rule number three is you are allowed to talk about sex, religion, and politics in a manner which does not hurt the sentiments of other people present in the room. With that, I will hand it over to the presiding officer, a very charming gentleman, and I love to discuss cricket and music, especially Bollywood music from Tamil movie industry. And the best thing he has done is introduced me to this one great place called Filter Coffee, where I went on several days. So thank you, and please welcome my good friend Toastmasters.
Thank you very much. Audio check. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. How are you all doing? Excellent. Welcome to meeting number 172. My name is Arul Sriram, and the good thing or the bad thing is that we don't have any guests today outside of Toastmasters, but we do have a guest from another club. So I'm going to ask Toastmaster Prasim to introduce himself to all of us, Toastmasters.
So, hi everyone, I came from Whitefield Toastmasters Club. And about me, I've been in Bangalore for around 9 years. I'm currently working as senior software engineer in Microsoft. So, yeah, happy to see you all, and we'll be giving my L1P2 speech. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I ask anyone to introduce themselves, they're going to talk about the notches thing that they have done in the last 1 year. So obviously, that's the great, fantastic. So today we have a very, very relatable theme about traveling to Bangalore. But before that, I just want to narrate a very small incident of last night, which is possibly an aside from the entire agenda. And that's about how social media helps in connecting people in time of need. This happened at 11:30 last night. A person posted on Facebook saying that I need help, urgent help. Is there somebody in Istanbul that you would know? Okay, in his entire network. So I reached out to the person, asked him what the urgency was, and he told me that his cousin and her kid, they were coming from the US, and the flight had to take a detour and drop off at Istanbul because the child suffered palpitations. Okay, they had to make an emergency landing. And I just took the liberty to call one of my ex-colleagues from Unilever in Turkey, who knew the local language and also knew English, because these people hadn't had food for 8 hours. They didn't know how to interact in the hospital. They knew that the kid was admitted, something was given, but nothing more than that. This gentleman, 30 years of experience in Unilever, senior position, he just said, fine, I'm going to ask him to call me. He went to the hospital, stayed till 11:30 night with them, doing all the interpretations and helping them out, and saying, I need to go back home because tomorrow is election duty for me. I need to be there. I couldn't be more thankful for the gas that I had got in my body system. I was awake at that time, scrolling through Facebook. It was just so heartwarming entirely. I just thought I'll share it with you, regardless of the pain, because all you did ask me how my week was. Great, it's a pleasure to invite you all to meeting number 172. And before anything else, election season is coming, but that's fine. I'm going to pass the baton on to someone who eternally looks young. I call her princess. Okay. In Tamil, I call her Ilavarasi. She's given me an intro, which is again boring. I'm a software developer. I work in a startup and all of that. But she's an amazing singer, an extremely cheerful person. Whenever she enters the room, It just brightened up the entire thing. Today she preferred to stay in her own room because she had a problem with commute to Bangalore. It was completely thematic. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day, Madhurita.
So they say that the road to success is often filled with obstacles, but only in Bangalore will you quite literally find the obstacles on the road. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Madhumita, and today I'm your Toastmaster of the day, and today's theme is going to be the horrors of traveling in Bangalore. Now, personally, I am someone who travels all the way from Whitefield to Sanjay Nagar, which is beyond Hebbal Manyata Tech Park for work every day. And the irony is that the obstacles on my road are actually bridges. They are namely, the Marathali Bridge, the Keharpuram Bridge, and the Hebbal Bridge, which I have to cross every single day, very dreadfully. So when they first shifted my office to Hebbal, I thought I'll be smart. I'll start before the traffic so that I can, get ahead of everybody else. So I would start at 7 o'clock in the morning. It felt like I was back in school. But the thing is, by the time I would start from 7 at home. And by the time I got from my home to Keharpuram, turns out the people in that area woke up and they also had already started to work. So I would get stuck in traffic at Keharpuram anyway. So I also tried another approach. I thought, let's start after the traffic. So I would start at like 10:30, 11 to office. But it turns out, again, the people who started early are also still stuck in traffic. So, there's no winning here. So finally, I gave up and I started leaving at a more reasonable time to work, because the only way to beat Bangalore traffic is to realize that you cannot and just accept your fate. So now Bangalore as a city is very welcoming to everybody, and the same goes for traffic horror stories. And almost everybody I've seen, every Bangalorean that I've met seems to have some or the other kind of legendary, story of being stuck in traffic. So let's hear it from our audience. Let's start with Arun.
I don't travel within Bangalore. If I don't get an employment opportunity in Whitefield, I would rather resign, retire, and stay at home. For the last 11 years, I've been working within Whitefield area. I literally had to cross my road to my employer's place back in 2012. And I used to take a car for that just to get a feeling of Bangalore. I used to live right behind McDonald's in Brookfield, and my office was in Kalyani Platina, which was right opposite. For whatever joy that I got, I used to take my car just to experience the traffic of Bangalore. Besides that, I travel only on Sundays, only to Hoodie Toastmaster Club, and nowhere else. That's my story.
Well, obviously you have the privilege of choosing where to work after all of these years of experience. Let's hear it from our guest, Prasim. Do you have any stories of being stuck in Bangalore traffic?
Lot of horror stories. I think generally when I used to live in Brookfield area and my office was Vilandur, I still thought it's achievable in half an hour or so. But one day it rained and it was 9 p.m. in the evening. I left at 6 p.m. and still I was not at home. So yeah, I think rain is the thing which catalyzes the reaction there.
Yeah. I think Kiran also travels very far to work, right? Do you have any traffic stories?
Yes. We have 3 ways to travel my home, office. My office is in Gaudabisnandi. I can go through Urthoor and Whitefield, and Marthali, and also I can go through Keharpuram and through in factory. So I try 3 way. If I try today, this outer ring road. So I took one hour. So let me try other way so that I can at least save 15 minutes. When I tried other way, it took me more time, 1.5 hours. So I explored all these 3 ways, but nothing ended up same time. It increased my travel time.
Yeah, just give up and accept your fate. That's what happens in the end. So actually, this also happened to me once. I got stuck on the Marathali Bridge. It was sunny in the morning and suddenly it started raining in the evening, like it usually happens in Bangalore. And we were stuck on the bridge for nearly 3 hours. And thank God I was with a colleague, and we actually watched the entire Pushpa film while being stuck on traffic on the bridge. Yeah. So we will continue discussing our horror stories of traveling in Bangalore traffic further throughout the meeting. Moving on, so our meeting for today is divided into 3 sections. The first section is formal prepared speeches, where the speakers give their speeches based on the projects described in their manual. The second section comprises of table topics. So this is to practice thinking on your feet and speaking on your feet. And the final and third section is evaluations, where we have speech evaluators who will suggest to the speakers, the places of improvements and the positives in their speech. And we also have a general evaluator who will be evaluating the meeting as a whole. So without further ado, let me introduce the general evaluator for today. So the GE for today is a chartered accountant, professionally associated with Deloitte. He is a dedicated, focused, and very dedicated and focused person, and he savors hard work, as he says that it amounts to the joy for achieving for himself and his family. Please put your hands together and welcome Toastmaster Kiran.
Thank you, Madhu, for your warm introduction. So today I will be the general evaluator for the whole meeting. In order to assist me, I have 3 people, grammarian, accountant, and timer. I would like to call upon the Toastmaster Saurav to explain his role.
So as you are well aware, today we have prepared speeches. Arun's speech will have a time of 7 to 13 minutes. At 7 minutes, I will show the green card. At 10 minutes, I will show in the yellow card, and post 13 minutes, I will show in the red card. And as usual, we have a grace period of 30 seconds. Pressing speech will have a time of 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, I will be showing the green card. Then 6 minutes, I will be showing the yellow card, and 7 minutes, I will show you the red card. And as usual, you have a grace period of 30 seconds. Evaluation will have 2 to 3 minutes time. 2 minutes, again green card. 2.5 minutes, yellow card, and 3 minutes, red card. And table topics, we have 1 to 3 minutes time. At 1 minute, we have green card. 2 minutes, we have yellow card, and 3 minutes, we have red card.
1 to 2 minutes.
1 to 2 minutes.
So 1 minute,
Yellow card.
Yeah.
So green card, 1.5 minutes. Yellow card, and 2 minutes, red card.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So now we have an accountant for today, or this Toastmaster Rohit. I would like to
Being a counter, I will actively listen your speeches, whether it is the prepared speech or table topic speech. So I will note down the cluster words that will be used in the speeches and the repeated words. And at the end of the meeting, I will share my report.
Next is grammarian. I think we should, if you want to address speakers, obviously we should know how to structure our speech and should know the grammar rules. For that, we have DGM Manoj.
Good morning, Toastmasters. I have been doing the grammarian for a long time, so I'm trying to do a good job. That being said, my role today will be to listen to everybody's usage of language, whether how correct or how wrong or what would be a better suited phrase or word which could have been used in its place. So I'll come back later when I've achieved what I need. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have 2 speeches today. Who is the great speakers?
Word of the day.
Okay, so only the theme of the day is given as horrors of traveling to work in Bangalore. So suitable word of the day is by sleeping.
Sleeping.
Sleeping. Okay, sleeping. Word of the day will be sleeping.
Okay.
Yeah, this kind of.
Morning with electronic security. And vice versa.
No, you have to explain the verb. Is it a verb or?
Sleeping. You interpret it both.
Okay.
Thank you, DTM Manoj. So I think we have two great speakers today. In order to evaluate the two speeches, we have evaluator. For the first speaker,
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, General Evaluator. So I will introduce the first evaluator for the speaker. So our first evaluator today is very playful. He's a very thoughtful person, and he's occasionally wonderful also. And he only chooses employers where office hours start before 8 o'clock in the morning to avoid Bangalore traffic. Please welcome Toastmaster Adiji.
Master Madhunathan. And my target speaker is attempting his level 4 elective speech. So the speech is creating a podcast, and the time allotted is 5 to 10 minutes is what you will be seeing on screen, where he has already recorded a podcast, and he will be speaking here for 2 to 3 minutes. Purpose statement. The purpose of this project is for the member to be introduced to the skills required to organize and present a podcast. The purpose of the speech is for the member to introduce his podcast and to present a segment of the podcast. So that will be taken care by my target speaker, which will be introduced by the Toastmaster of the day, Madhu.
Okay. So our first speaker for the day is a very witty and very humorous person. He's been a Toastmaster for the past 3.5 years, and the only place he says he's willing to travel is to Toastmasters clubs, and that too only on the weekends. So I guess Hoodie Toastmasters Club is very lucky. So please welcome Arun. Half an hour, Arun.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, once again. One of the things that pandemic created was this concept called life coach. There were so many life coaches that I actually believe there were more life coaches than cockroaches in those 2 years. In that time is when everybody wanted to do some show online just to stay relevant and just to tell people that I'm not on oxygen and I'm still alive and kicking. I got inspired by a podcast series by a Tamil actress and a marketeer by name Janaki Sabesh. For people who know Tamil films, she acted as Vijay's mother in this famous movie called Gilli. It used to happen at 11 a.m. on Sundays, and it used to be an hour-long program where she would talk to her friends who have already achieved something in life. I thought it's a wonderful opportunity for me to as well connect with a lot of people out there and talk to people who were on different maturity cycles as far as where they wanted to achieve in a path that is not that frequently taken. I started by interviewing a person who was running an NGO that empowers people, transgender people, through sustainable employment. Besides that, slowly I realized that there were so many people doing very, very different things. And the USP of my show, which I strongly believe, is that these are people whom I could reach out to directly without any public relation manager, and people who are just thinking of doing a startup, people who are midway through achieving something, people who tried something, failed at something, again picked themselves up and went about achieving something else in life. So I have interviewed entrepreneurs, I have interviewed stand-up comedians, I have interviewed actors, social entrepreneurs, authors, classmates who have turned out to be entrepreneurs. So it was a good way for me to reconnect with people. So creating a podcast has its own checklist. One, curate a good guest list. Before I would start any season, I would have the full list of the members or guests whom I was going to talk to, reach out to them, block their time much ahead of time. Second item would be to send them an indicative flow of what would be the questions, subject to where the audience takes it further during the Insta Live. Even choosing Insta Live was by experiment. I started on Facebook Live, then I did an interview and hosted it on YouTube. Then I figured out for best interaction purposes, Instagram and Insta Live was the best way to do it, where people could connect, ask their questions. You could even take them on video. And second was to choose the right time. I would choose Sunday 12 noon because people would wake up late, maybe go out for breakfast, and just before lunch was a good time for people to just get and watch an Insta Live and get inspired. And then their Monday is all charged. So there's a question of what time I pick, what kind of guests I pick. Now there are challenges that come about. In the sense that first is the guest going to be available on the date? When the guest is not available, do I have a backup of who could be filling in for them? So this way I've been able to manage. Now this started in 2020 and today we are in 2023. I'm going to be doing my 40th episode, the season 4, episode 10, hopefully in the next 1 or 2 weeks. And it's been an absolute pleasure talking to so many people, connecting with so many people, and the followers that I get through my stand-up comedy are now introduced to a very different aspect of myself. I get inspired by themselves. On that note, I'm going to play now my most recent episode from yesterday, which is season 4's episode 9 with theatre practitioner Vikram Sridhar. Joining episode 9 of season 4 of Half an Hour. My name is Arun Sriram, and today we have a guest who I would simply call an absolute inspiration. This person has done engineering like most of India had done, and went on to do some very, very graduation courses and still doing it. Evaluation, and today is a full-time performance storyteller and a theatre practitioner. He's also TEDx platforms, and it gives me immense pleasure to invite Vikram Sridhar on episode 9, season 4 of Half an Hour. Right now, I think it is the popularity of Vikram than anything else. Yes. Vikram, hello. Absolutely, yes. Right. And I just hope that we will have and Bangalore as it possible.
Quality was that. Keep trying to do that.
Nice, fantastic. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on this show, and I must tell you once again that you've been an absolute inspiration for me to do what you do. Just follow your heart and follow your passion. Thank you for inspiring me and a lot of other people as well. So let me give it was one story that kind of with my name. Okay, I'm going to do this for a living, or somebody the lyrics together and listening passes no matter what. What was it that made you definitely not that regularly taken?
My part, I was very surprised because my passions were very hard to get work first. And I was following those 3 passions, which is conservation, working with wildlife animals, and then also working communities, children, wherever they were people. And over time, I think with storytelling, I realized that it's one art form that will connect all, because we come from a country where most of the tales are being told through animal folklore and dramatized and performed, and we have children and adults again watching. And that is when for me storytelling as a performative art. So I used stories when I was in school, college, as volunteering medium and working with the Spastic Society of Institution. And I used to go there and make the caregivers, telling caregivers need to do after. So I used to do that. And I just thought it was an art form. And that is when for me later when I picked it up and realized nobody performs or does the same form of children and adults in the same children and adults. and have content separated. Whatever same content can work across, whoever will take it will take it. And that is when we started experimenting as a theatre form, because even 10 years back it was not a theatre form. It was more of the children's medium in schools and space. All of the terms are very personal. Theatre was what I was trying to do. In that I was experimenting. Still really going to learn Indian music and Indian art form. And she said, surrender. Three words that
Fascinating. And life in India generally starts after engineering for everyone. After you finished your engineering, you went and did post-graduation in comparative mythology.
Masters in my MBA in management, and then later this was in the pandemic.
Right. So, okay, during the pandemic is when you did the post-graduation. Wow, tell us a little bit about, haven't heard of it. The only which was Indian political system that also exists.
So, one generation, you could take a break here, you don't go back to study. It's very sure that I won't get back to studies after working. That is when later with the pandemic started, I realized a lot of performing arts and academic world are very far away. And a lot of content in academic world doesn't come in the performative world, and same thing in the performative world, there's a lot, not much of research, and these are separate things that but in India, everything was everything. So those mythology is huge and wide. You know, there are small bubbles and we really don't know the next bubble. And how do you, when you start comparing the two bubbles of culture and where you come from, there's a lot of commonalities between rituals and practices. Now, do as a total that's when for me, the course is about the back to Chris Patel. He's the pioneer of that, and even opening windows. Today, the windows is infinite, and people will understand the mythology of Chennai or Bangalore between the legend.
Sure, fantastic. And as a storyteller, because I do follow you across all the social media platforms as well. Now you travel a lot, yeah. And how important is travel for a storyteller? And what fascinates me about you is when you have these conversations with the flower vendor, with the fruit vendor, with an auto rickshaw, and then connect beautifully and kind of give us a, you literally put us in where we are. And are these like more places where you can express yourself and kind of hone your skills on articulation, or do you just enjoy meeting people? And what's happening to storyteller?
So you part. So and a very the mother was to travel. The parents, both of us, we were we travel a lot when I was students. Child. Then it's also to understand that we keep dividing our country, dividing the world in many parts and many directions. And as a storyteller and also as a performer, somebody did tell me and I found that a lot of when I met especially when people have multiple faces, I found the difference between the stage person and the real person. And somebody will tell you person that you or you can you need to connect with so much of you believe you. A lot of humanness are allowed to bring in. Say that I don't speak more than 2 languages. English, Tamil, and Canada, of course, is where I've been picking up. Other than that, I'm not a quick learner of language. How can I connect with people beyond languages? Because the moment we say state, we say language. The moment we say district, we say a certain culture. But how can somebody from the regional part of the country go across and even Karnataka and Tamil Nadu? I can never say I will touch. But just to look beyond languages, beyond going to see Tamil, Pani, age, all, how below that across everywhere, the vulnerability of is to to get beyond the stage person. That is where I want to live. Saying this just carrying stories, collecting stories, and the salesman of course performing it in the of course, and bring that into the context of what it is doing.
Thank you. Do I get to give a closing remark or I just? Okay. So basically, this is called half an hour. HALFANOUR. So it's my friend and it's half an hour. It's a word play that I typically do for most things in life. And it's given me so much pleasure. And I would request you to subscribe Sriram.Arun and you can get tuned to further episodes as well. Thank you very much.
Madhu. You're on mute.
You're on mute.
You're not on mute.
She is not on mute, but we can't hear her either.
Just a second. Can you say hello?
Close to the Instagram thing, please.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Just a second. Can you speak?
Mute, somebody is muted.
No, it is.
Yeah, it is.
It's muted, just click on that and unmute.
No, it's
Dot.
That is me.
On you can also do. Yeah.
Can you speak? Can you go on mute once?
Or she might have kept it to.
Can you unmute yourself? Can you rejoin? We are unable to hear.
Yeah, you should drop and do that.
Rejoin, please, Madhumita.
So moving on to our second evaluator, he is someone who has been heading innovation for a 140-year-old company that has over 60,000 plus patents. He is a passionate Toastmaster and he's also an aspiring author. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Nitesh.
He's repeating a speech which he has delivered earlier.
Feedback of L1 P1 to be deployed in P2. So today's speaker is trying his L1 P2 and he would be repeating his speech based on the feedback he received for the previous speech. And I wish you good luck. Thank you. Yeah.
Madhu, we are not able to hear you again. You don't go on mute then. There are two Madhumitas. Okay, Madhu, no, not a problem. While we figure it out, I will read out his speech title. He will give the speech. We'll try to see whether it is solved after this. Okay. So your speech title is. Have you provided speech?
Yeah. The crest and troughs of my life.
The
Crest and troughs of my life.
Okay. Sorry.
Crest and trough of my life. Toastmaster President.
I opened my eyes and tried as hard as I can to see who is around me. It was none other than my mother and my family. It was not the time when I was born. It was the time during my 12 summers when I was hospitalized for more than 15 days. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Today I will be taking you through the crest and troughs of my life. But going more into that, let's start from the beginning. So I was born in a small town in Madhya Pradesh called Shivpuri. It's a hill station, and I was born into a Jain family, Jain business family, not Marwadi, not Banya. So, and everyone was so loving, caring. I can go to my friends, have dinner, lunch, or breakfast at their home, or on Raksha Bandhan, go to their home and get Rakhis tied from their sisters. You get it, right? The mutual respect, inclusion, and love. That made it the day for me. And I was excelling in all my studies. Going daily to the temple and excelling in my studies was a daily practice. I was a topper in my class, 10th class, and loved science so much that I started to imagine people as a molecule of carbohydrate, hydrogen, and light reflecting from them in the atoms which are there and through the excited state of the atoms, electrons. Moving on, but there was an uneventful day which came in my life. My mother was not at the home and I had to order food from outside. I'm not sure whether it was the malaria mosquito or dengue mosquito or the food poisoning which caused me ill. I was taken to a lot of doctors, but none can figure out what has happened to me. So I was shipped to another city and I was hospitalized for more than 15 days. Due to efforts of my mother and my family, I was able to be recovered and I joined back to my studies. But the things were not the same as they were earlier. I was not able to take the stress of studies and not able to put in the efforts that are required for my IIT JEE preparation or 12 boards. Also, I'm not sure what it's about growing up. People stop liking you that much. And my friends stopped talking to me. So I was slowly going into the depression. But anyways, my goals were clear, what I had to do in my life. So I took a drop and studied engineering to qualify the engineering entrance exams. But I was not able to qualify for IIT. But still I made through the NITs. But still, the expectation which I had that I would find some people there who would still have the same craze and love for science that I had would make my journey there more fun and enjoyable. But I was introduced to a different culture and experience. Starting with the first day of ragging itself, people were not that welcoming. Quotes on the wall of the hostel room that if you can't avoid rape, just enjoy it, were more demotivating than anything else. The life was disastrous for me. I was not enjoying it anyways, but I have to complete 4 years of my college. It's not like everyone is there, but you don't find that group or lot which you require at that particular moment of time. So my idols were Narayan Murthy and Bill Gates. I wanted to get or just open my business of such big scale and level. But after going through all these events in my life, I think these are not achievable now. At least try for the jobs or get into the technical knowledge so that I get that much command over the subject. So I focused on my technical studies, but the same company which I liked so much rejected me in my college. So I was rejected in the interview of Microsoft in my final years. But I took up the job which was next available and just started my journey there. I started from the front end, worked there on this browser and the JavaScript parts, and then moved on to the backend part, joined another company, worked there. The culture was again coming back, the one which respects you for your knowledge and loves you and tries to think or supports you moving forward. And that helped me a lot in growing in my career. With that, I started learning again, started front end, learned back end, did my own projects, and then finally went much deeper into the OS and kernel architecture and stuff. And that's how I was able to land my next job at Microsoft. With that, I thank everyone, all of you, for hearing my story. Thank you all.
Madhu, can we hear you?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Thank you, Praseem, for sharing that, sharing your story. That was a wonderful journey. So moving on. So every day we brave through congested blocked roads, unruly auto drivers, flyovers that haven't been finished for ages, haphazard parking, and actual hazards like, pillars falling on vehicles or pillars being lifted over the traffic while we are driving on the road. So I think despite all this chaos that happens in Bangalore, Bangalore still manages to have a very chill vibe to it. And I think it's because Bangaloreans, through all of this being stuck in traffic, we've developed a very unique set of skills and obviously oodles of patience, from being stuck in traffic for so long. And Bangaloreans have, a very strong identification mark, I feel, because of, they have very strong calf muscles from all the clutch and brake workout that we constantly keep doing. And we never measure the distance from one place to another from the actual kilometers, but rather from the amount of time that it takes to get there. So I think these are like very easy things you can identify that this person is from Bangalore. So, and I think it's also high time that companies, start becoming more attuned to the needs of Bangaloreans and understand that, vehicles can't be driven over 20 kilometer speed. We only need vehicles with one front gear and one reverse gear, and maybe sell us products that are, at a lower rate, so everybody can own vehicles here. So moving on to the second section of the meeting, our second section of the meeting is the table topics. Our table topics master for today is Trilok. Yeah, okay. I was just looking for, just give me 1 second. Yes. Okay. So Trilok is a software developer, and he has been living in Bangalore for several years. And like he mentioned in his icebreaker speech, this is the city that he relates with the most. He really enjoys doodling, reading, and occasionally traveling. And badminton seems to be one of his favorite sports. Please welcome our table topics master, Trilok.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vinita, and I'm sorry for the pain that you described this now. But yeah, it's a story that all of us share. So I think recently when I was looking up this topic, I came across this short video clip on video clip on YouTube, which is called Singapore. So the story, have you seen that?
No, that
It's very different. So basically, it starts with there's a guy in his car, there's a girl in her car, and they start honking, and that's how they get to know each other. Then the life moves on, they reach Agara Silkwood, they fell in love. Then life moves on further, they reach the Kyarpuram flyover, they decide to get married. So the marriage happens there because there's enough time, life is going on. Eventually, by the time they reach their home in Jaipur, they have a baby as well. So that is the amount of time we spend stuck in traffic, and the people have created ways of spending. Anyway, so coming back to the topic, the table topic master, which is the second part of any Toastmasters meeting, is when people learn to speak on their feet. The rules are simple that anybody can volunteer, or I can ask upon people to come up and speak. I'll be presenting the topics, and you'll have between 1 and 2 minutes to speak on the topic. Right? So maybe let's get started. Who would like to volunteer first? Okay. So we've heard and all of these traffic signals like Silkwood, Hofka, Mijipura have scarred us. But let's turn the tables around this time. Imagine you are the Silkwood signal. Tell us what you think. You are the Silkwood signal. Tell us what you think.
I love people, and then what I have been doing as a traveler, I would prefer to do something similar to the Silkwood Junction as well. So recently, people complain a lot about the Bangalore travel, and in fact, I was one of them earlier was complaining about it. So I just switched my mode of transportation and also what I was doing during that phase. What I did earlier, I used to just complain about travel. Now I switch on my Audible. I listen to books. I'm sitting in the car, whether it's 1 hour, 2 hour, doesn't matter. If it is longer, it's good that before I reach my listen to the books. So if I'm a Silkwood Junction, what I'll do, I'll just play a book on, let's say, live, and people, those who are willing to listen, they can just switch on to their live this streaming, and they can listen to books while they are stuck in the traffic. They can learn a lot, they can grow in their life by listening to that. And I believe that's a good thing. Nowadays in club, they play this music where you have to put your earphones up and just listen what you want. I'll do something similar at the junction. People can use that to grow in their life, transform their lives, rather than just complaining about it.
Thank you. That also takes up one of my topics I wanted suggestions on how to maintain my sanity policy. Very good. How about time do you have?
We can do 4 topics, we can do 3 more.
Anybody else like to volunteer? A developed country is not a place where rich people, where poor people have cars, but it is a place where rich people travel in public transport. What would it take to fill these gaps that we have in our public transportation? Toastmaster Rajit.
Interesting topic. Okay. First of all, when this topic is more towards sustainability, I can say, as it is more of public transport, people using public transport. If I imagine a scenario where everybody using public transport, it is a group of people going together in a commutable bus, in the bus or whatever. So it might be railway also. So when I think from this, there is a good amount of what you call engagement, because people talk to each other when they are going together, and there is also reduction of carbon dioxide or other gases in the environment. It will be more of sustainable. It's a nice scenario to imagine, and people look towards meeting each other. As I said, due to the what you call commute, you come across various people. There will be interaction. There will be more amount of what you call. If it is pretty organized, there will be it will be much smoother. On the contrary, if I think a situation, it's more of what you call the public transports are reduced. It will be more of single drivers and more of traffic. So I think it will be a good scenario. As a country, when I think coming together, it will be good.
I have to share your ideas on. Anyway, so who would you recommend? Just one thing. Bangalore is a city of startups, and imagine that this is your mini Shark Tank. Okay. And you have this brilliant idea to solve the traffic woes of Bangalore. Traffic problems of Bangalore.
Okay.
So you have your 2 minutes. Please go ahead with your elevator pitch. Maybe Sriram, Arun would be
Okay, here's my idea. Like, in Bangalore, like, like it is tagged as the city where, like, I think even I heard from the, my senior men and all, like, whenever they come from their, like, US, they say, Bangalore traffic is horrible. So I thought of solving this problem. So the solution is problems like, obviously, when you improve the, like, when you make people, to travel on public transport, I think that solves a problem. Like, for example, right? So 50 people, traveling in the same bus instead of, traveling bikes or cars, that makes more traffic. So that way, that is one way. And another way is we can bring more ways of, like traveling. For example, we can build underground, ways where, for example, we have this metro lanes, right? We can try that one. And also, obviously, in Bangalore, the traffic is more now because of this metro construction. I think if that is done, I think it will be solved. So I think that's all.
Any last people? Toastmaster David. Amongst all of this traffic chaos, I think we often miss one significant point. It's the unsung heroes. The unsung heroes, the traffic police who help manage and regulate this traffic in the city. What are your thoughts on that?
I usually travel from Keyapuram to Vanarghatta.
Oh.
So everyone is traveling from there to here, and I travel opposite. So I usually feel like the traffic police, like I used to travel for 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening. So I spend 4 hours, and these traffic people actually they spend more than 10 hours in the traffic. And when I was staying near Bannerghatta, I also have seen the ads that Bannerghatta police is looking for help, like self-help, like anybody who wants to help them in the traffic scene, we can volunteer. I was thinking, okay, maybe I can do it on weekends. But then I realized, okay, I can't spend 4 hours in the travel journey, then maybe 10 hours is a very big thing. So in that note, I feel like these people actually maintain, morning to evening, it is very difficult thing. But I saw one video, I think in Mumbai or somewhere, some city, the traffic police has a unique style of maintaining the traffic. He usually dances on the signal. So he usually does that people will not feel frustrated or irritated like when they have to spend for 5 minutes in the signal. So that one way, I think maybe many people are coming with different styles, but this is one unique style I noticed.
So yeah, I think this is the end of the table topics section. And very briefly tell about. I don't mind traffic at all anymore. At times I get frustrated, but most of the times I don't. Because I figured out that it's more of how I manage my time and my expectations out of it. So Google Maps helps. I try if I know that this place is reaching there, it's going to take this much time. I pre-allocate my mind share on spending this much amount of time. And the other thing which Nitesh was also talking about, this gives me ample opportunity to read books, listen to books. And I can't thank traffic enough for that. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Trillo. You look like a person who never gets angry at all. Very calm, zen. And there was a wonderful table topic session. We got to hear some very interesting opinions on traffic. So moving on to our last and final section of the meeting, which is the evaluations. So I now invite evaluator 1, Toastmaster Arijit, to give his evaluation of Arun's speech.
General evaluator.
The GE will call the evaluators. You need to call
Oh,
Kiran.
okay. Okay. I invite Toastmaster Kiran to evaluate the meeting.
Thank you, Madhumita. I think we had a good meeting today. So before I evaluate, I would like to call upon the individual evaluators to give their report. So first, I will call upon stage Arijit, Toastmaster Arijit, to give his evaluation on Arun's speech.
Thank you to General Evaluator Toastmaster Kiran. Ladies and gentlemen in the room, today you saw one aspect of how to create a podcast. This is a level 4 elective speech where you have to build skills which you have assimilated through your journey of public speaking. So he has already completed 3 levels of pathways, and now he's getting into finer ways of broadening his horizon of viewers or audience. And podcast in the world has become very popular. He gave us a perfect example or a perfect introduction of how he started to podcast as a perspective. It's most of the podcasts started in India, especially during the COVID period, and his was also one. And he was inspired by Janki Ramesh, Janki Suresh, sorry, and
Sabesh. Sabesh.
Janki Sabesh. Okay, and she is a very popular storyteller, and he brought his aspect of how he interviewed entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, comedians, people with disabilities, or reaching out to people with disabilities. So that shows that Arun had knew what was he trying to figure out. We could figure out, we can induce that Arun as a person wants to understand the meaning of life from the perspective of other people, what they are trying to figure out of life. So that was very beautifully done. He introduced how he was, what he wanted to do, and then a very appropriate choice of episode that we got to see today, and that was your storytelling. Now in Toastmasters and in general, storytelling is considered as an asset and how you can relate better with people around you. Of course, he has great, we all know he's witty, and the aspects of humor had it's mostly a plus, but he knows how to engage people and like how he engages people. And one thing I especially like about Arun is that he keeps his questions short and pointed, and he gives ample time to his guest on what he wants to express. Unlike say Arnab Goswami, he never interrupts. I have that problem of interrupting people while they speak because I have formed a view and I want to counter it. Arun is a very patient and active listener. And on that note, the only area of improvement I have for him is again his humor. There were aspects, especially he said that one fiction is entire political science. So if you want more viewers, especially the country like ours, try to avoid humor which might not bring you more viewers or might introduce you to being trolled by people. So on that note, I truly enjoyed your podcast, and especially the fact that over a period of time, you have understood the technicalities of how to produce a podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Arif. I think everything was, you covered. The only, like, why, I always, try to listen. Whenever your speech is there, I always try to attend the meeting because there is no pillars, the clarity of speech is, it's very good. So, like when I hear you, right, so I think I don't feel like, like something, which touches me. So the next, I would like to call upon Vijay Videsh to give evaluation on.
In Toastmasters, we talk about two things for any speech: content and delivery. So I'll give you feedback on both. The second thing that I have invented, and I normally talk about that, triple C: context, content, and conviction. So I'll talk about that as well. Let's start from what we recommend in terms of content and delivery. Content-wise, I feel this was a great speech. You had a very good content. Especially if I listen to the story, I can summarize it like being failed in Microsoft to cracking Microsoft. That's a really great storyline. And I feel if you can convert into a great speech, it can be on the lines of what Tony Robbins does, or Sandeep Maheshwari, or Ankur Warikoo and all that. Such motivational speech. So great storyline, and I have some suggestions on the delivery part. So even if you have a great content, delivery is something that improves to that content. So a couple of feedbacks on the way you deliver it, like probably you were looking down at some point of time, you're swinging at one position. So these things are not considered good, but it feels that you are a little nervous and you are not up to the mark. So if you can improve on that, and also improve on your voice, because you have achieved something and you are delivering that, right? Improve on the voice quality as well. So that's about content and delivery. From triple C perspective, context was good. You are delivering a speech in the Toastmasters and you have a story, personal story to direct. Fine. Content was great. I feel that if you have such a great content and that to your personal story, why conviction was missing? Because even if you have context and content, no conviction, then it doesn't make sense. People will feel that, okay, why he's not very convinced about the content that he's delivering. So I would suggest that increase on your conviction. It's your story. You have done that. You have a great success story. If you are convinced and if you deliver with that conviction, it will go to the audiences. And as I said, it can be a very motivational story for a lot of people, those who are trying to get into Microsoft, Google, Facebook, and all. Overall, it was a great content, but improve on your delivery and conviction part.
Thank you, DT and Nitesh. So add on to Nitesh points. I think overall it's an inspiring story. So everything was covered by Nitesh. The one more thing I need to add is the moment. Like you have now used the stage fully. And one more thing is like there was no much eye contact. It was just looking on the slide and looking at down. And these two as things I would like to add. So now I would like to call upon the tag team to give their report. First, I would like to call upon the accountant. Accountant.
Here is my report. Starts with prepared speeches. Arun used the word "and" for 6 times, and speaker to Prashant. He used "and" for 6 times, but for 9 times. And in the table topics, Nitesh used the sound "ah" for 2 times. Ajit used the word "and" for 2 times. Kiran used the word "so" for 4 times.
Yes. Next, I would like to call upon Manoj to give his report on Gremlin.
So, guys, I had a good session today after a long time. I just go through what I found was good usages of grammar, maybe good phrases used over there, and this not so good. Right? Arun used the phrase called maturity cycles. That is, I've heard about maturity, I've heard about cycles in general. A phrase like maturity cycles, like it brings up an image of an individual or a group of individuals who are starting up from a no knowledge point to a point of I have learned all this, so now let's go to the next. That's how I would interpret the maturity cycles. Right? And then there was this phrase podcast curate the guest list. Now, the word curate is often something we hear with in museums or art galleries. So curating the guest list is something that is very good usage of the word, right? Comparative mythology is something which I heard for the first time. I've heard of mythology, but comparative mythology is something very new. I've not heard of it. It's not very popularly heard of. Okay. Now, moving on to the speakers, Prasim used molecules and used excited state of electrons. Now, I haven't heard this phrase called excited state of electrons in at least 30 years. And I'm not sure. The last time when I read this was when I was very curious about Niels Bohr's theory. I'm wondering if you will remove what it is. You will understand if you spend some time on it today. So that is very excited. So normally the excited state of electrons, like technically it may sound as wrong English, but actually it is the correct phrase which is used in the physics circles to describe the state when electrons have been given extra energy and their vibrational action increases much more. The energy level, they absorb the extra energy which has been input into the system over there, and that is what causes the phrase called excitation. That is the reason, right? Then moving forward, there were a few messes which I would ask you to concentrate on. Now, these are this entire stretch which I'm going forward now is not restricted to the individual, is what I will say, but it is common Indian practice across the nation. And it's not even you cannot say that it is specific to a region or a community or a state. This is common bad habits across the nation. I'm using it like that, right? Now, first one was mother not at the home. Mother not at home. Right? Because the home is correct, but the home is when you're not connecting an individual to the location. That's a critical difference over there, right? Caused me in, I fell in, right? Able to be recovered again. able to recover. So the B, even though it is like, could be recovered, you can say, yes, that's a correct usage, but able to be recovered is an incorrect usage. IIT JEE, I would ask everybody to use the terminology as is, because when you mention it's an IIT, what do you say?
G.
IIT G or JEE. Right, so what I hear, that clarity is essential here, right? Because you're talking of an exam. IIT JEE is very well known, but when you say IIT G, are we talking for college? Right? Like that. Then moving on, continuing on that, many times I heard sentences which were starting with so and but. Another bad Indian language. Like this, you will often hear sentences which start with and not just while saying it, even while writing it. Even I do it, then after that I go delete the and then make it as a next. So I do that really right. Because these are things which are wrong usage. I mean, it's not just in English. Across any of our individual Indian languages, if you take this independent of the language, I'm using that terminology. This grammar principle is universal. So even if you're speaking the language in an official community, see when you're talking at home, it's colloquial. You can use your language how you feel like. But at the same time, when you're putting it in writing or you're trying to explain it to somebody, which is a professional content, then I would ask you to be very professional about it, independent of the language. That is where this grammar comes. Then moving forward, Trilok use the word mind share towards the end, right? Again, a very thoughtful usage. Mind share is something which is, it's a new term, maybe last 10-15 years. But the idea is to your thoughts are being shared with multiple. So it's like, it's like a kind of a hive mentality where multiple people's thoughts processes are coming together to create one unified idea. That's how I would put it over there. Started on the front end and then moved on to the back. Right now, if you are in a software centric setting, perfect usage of the phrase. But here you're dealing with Janata who are not aware of what you are. Then you have to change your phrasing deliberately to suit that Janata. That's how I will put it. Right? And apart from this, there are some minor glitches which, as we go along, these are all conditionings that we all have to adopt. It's not just one person or a few persons. Everybody in the club have to deliberately, consciously use the word, consciously adapt and move out so that what we want to say, it's not just the language we use, it is a clarity of the words we use. That's how I will put it. Right?
Thank you very much. It was a detailed. I thought of calling the timer again because he cannot the accounters and the grammarians time. So I would like to call upon Saurav to give his report.
Coming to timing reports, Arun's speech, including the recorded one, it took 13 minutes 20 seconds. Prasim's speech was 5 minutes 30 seconds. Coming to table topics, Nitesh spoke 1 minute 30 seconds. Ajit spoke 1 minute 20 seconds. Kiran 1 minute 30 seconds. Rohit 1 minute 25 seconds. And coming to evaluation, Abhijit took 2 minutes 30 seconds. Nitesh took 2 minutes 10 seconds.
Thank you, Saurav. I think overall the meeting was good. The few suggestions like for timer, you can note down the grammarian and the accounters time because we need to note down that also.
Okay.
And also like Madhumita, like awesome, it was awesome. Like you have done a good job. The only thing where like you need to have prepared so that introduction of the people and all. So except that I think it's overall the meeting over to you.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, General Evaluator. So Bangalore, which was initially known as the beautiful garden city, over the past 40 years has grown to become, the hub of technology and information, and has come to be known as the Silicon Valley of India. So we are one of the cities in the country with probably the highest per capita income, ranging from 1 lakh to almost 5 lakhs in urban localities, and we contribute to nearly 10% of India's GDP. However, this rapid growth has come at a very huge cost, because with more number of people being able to afford their own vehicles, the private vehicle count has increased massively. And the funny thing is that when you're on the road and you walk around and you see the cars around you, most of the cars will be either 5-seater or 7-seater cars with only hardly 1 person or 2 person sitting inside each car. So I think that also is another thing that contributes to the traffic. So this congestion of traffic this problem has become so big that even pedestrians get stuck in traffic in Bangalore. So what is the real reason for Bangalore's traffic problem? Is it the growing population, or but because cities with higher population densities don't suffer from the same problem. So when it was observed, the well-planned cities of the world, they have a system where their cities are planned in a grid format. But in Nama Bengaluru, we follow a star pattern. So the grid pattern has an advantage where you can go from one point to another point without getting the traffic blocked. Whereas in the star pattern, there is almost always just one main way to get from A to B. And this main way congregates, a lot of substreets, and which congests the traffic. So the star pattern is a result of the unplanned growth. And the worst part is that our main roads, to begin with, were not even wide enough to accommodate the traffic, coming in from this substreets. So the ineffective public transport, the large number of vehicles, and all of the major IT parks being located on one single belt are simply reasons that add to this growing traffic problem. So what is the solution? It isn't that there is no solution to the problem. It is that our civic bodies cannot see the problem. That's all from me. Thank you.
Round of applause for a team who is a very, very well researched team. It seemed trivial to start with. It just seemed like you can tell me your story, but the way she ended it, Marmita, very, very well done. I think you left on absolute right. I would like to take this opportunity to thank each one of you who have joined this meeting. Every role taker and every table topic speaker, every prepared speaker. The poll is out. Please look up your WhatsApp group and you will be able to vote. And I hope I know how to collect the responses, but that we'll figure out. And a couple of important updates. Very happy to share that our area director, Toastmaster Veera, is now division director elect for Division D. And also our current division director, DTM Vizyut, is the club growth director at the district level. So both our representatives have moved on to the next level, and we will continue to work with them and make the best use of their services to ensure that our club grows, our area grows, division grows, and we all grow in our Toastmaster journey. A fabulous meeting indeed. Thank you very much once again. I bring the meeting to a close. And before that, sorry, if I can collect the responses. Yeah, here I go. Got only 6 responses, even I need to. Not able to. Okay, so I'm going to take this. Master of ceremony, sorry, it's a best role taker, 7% is the TM only. It's now at 50-50, it's again 56-44. So I'm going to go with Madhumita for the moment. Congratulations, Madhumita. Best speaker, yours truly, thank you very much for that. Best evaluation, DTM Nitesh, congratulations. And best table topic speaker, Toastmaster Lohit, well done. Awesome, thank you very much. I got a meeting to a close. Thank you very much. We'll see you next Sunday. Photo.
Madhu.
Thank you, President. It was just a short term. Can't hear you, Madhu. Genuinely on mute.
Okay, I was saying I couldn't see Trilok, but you guys adjusted. Huh. Okay, smile everybody. Yeah, done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Recording not.
Got it.
Thank you, Madhu.